Welcome everybody. Hope we're all okay. We are back. We had a day off yesterday. We're back on this Tuesday for another hour with SGH sports events, just to have a chat with some sporting legends. We've got a great lineup for this week. But first of all, what we've got this week is we've got our streaming service. Simply Video been great for us last couple of weeks. They've really looked after us. It is definitely better than Zoom. We've got to say this. They are absolutely brilliant for us. They're in the background watching this all the way through, which is fantastic for the guys at Simply Video. We've also got a sponsor today, which is Find a Golf Break. They brought a fantastic little offer on for us. It's 25% extra discount if you mention the lunchtime with on the quotes when you go and book or speak to the lads itself. And that's valid for 2 years. Fantastic from Find a Golf Breaks there. We've also got a new bit of memorabilia for us this week, which is the Sergio Garcia Masters flag, signed, framed. It's when he won the Masters itself. It's been fantastic prize, which was from Muffy from Friday. He put that forward for us. So again, it's a £10 to enter. Get yourself onto the SGH Facebook page. You'll be able to find the link to take you to the giving page, which is £10. Again, it can be anywhere in the world. We are aiming for as much money as we possibly can. Every bit of the proceeds goes to the NHS. Thank you to Muffy for that one. And we'll have that going all week. Our guest today, to start with, we've got Simon Hurd. Heard it. How's things? You had a good weekend?
Yeah, a lovely weekend, yeah. No schoolwork, so no stress with the kids. My electric bike's arrived this morning and it's broken. So absolutely fucking devastated. But anyway, I'm told the LCD machine, the thing will come back in the post probably on a slow boat from China. But anyway, it's come the bike and we'll be on it later.
Fantastic. David Lynn, Linny, how are we down there? How's our internet connection? Are we good this week?
Down there, up there, across there. Yeah, we're doing all right, aren't we? I mean, big up KC.com here.
It's I tell you what, we've had to work hard to get you up and running on this one. Casey, have not been helping us at all. Fantastic. Good weekend, Linny?
Yeah, steady away. Went the pictures on Saturday night. That was good. And then went for a lovely Sunday lunch. Cracking restaurant. Yeah.
Where was this?
Just up the road. Yeah. I mean,
nice.
We are slightly different here. Obviously, I moved here for tax reasons, and obviously we've come out the lockdown quicker than you lot.
Well, to be fair, Hull is the road to nowhere, so you could be out of lockdown very quick out there. And our special guest today, fantastic for him to come on and spend an hour with us, and we're going to chat a lot about cricket today. Allan Lamb, Lammy, how are you doing? You okay down there?
Yeah, all good. Thank God the rain's come, because it's something we don't see that often, down in the Midlands. But I know you guys get loads of it up there, so it's a pleasant to have a bit of rain.
Fantastic. And we see you've got a few bits behind you. First of all, we've got to talk about the fish behind you. What's the story behind the fish?
He must have caught it.
I don't think you guys could do this, really. But it's called fly fishing. And that fish on the wall is out of Lake Kariba, and it's a tiger fish. And catching that on a fly is quite something. Even Darren Clark struggled to get that, Lenny, I can tell you. You know what a keen fisherman he is.
Hey, speaking of fishing, do you remember when we went fishing all them years ago? Mauritius.
Yes, I do. The Marlin Championship.
Marlin World Cup, how good was that?
Yeah, Barry Hearn sold another dummy to everyone, didn't he?
I had a good time.
It did a fantastic trip. I mean, those trips were brilliant. A bit of golf in there too, and they were fantastic.
Yeah, that was some proper fish there as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, but I think it's a bit of a pity now. Speaking to the guys over in Mauritius, they hardly catch a marlin anymore, because it's they should have released there, but unfortunately, they just take everything out.
Yeah.
Well, first things first, Lammy, we've got to talk about your cricket career. All right, we've got to start. We're going to start from the beginning. We're going to work our way through. I'm sure you've got loads of stories. AJ keeps telling us in the background that you've got loads of stories for us. So I'm sure we're going to be hearing some of this. You started out in South Africa. Cricket wasn't your first love either, was it? Rugby seemed to be your first love when you were growing up.
So we sort of went to a government school, and you had to play rugby during the winter, or you wanted hockey. You had to do some sports. Rugby and cricket were my two sports I played, and rugby was something I probably enjoyed more than the cricket.
And getting into the cricket, were you at what age was it when you looked at cricket was the one which took over from the rugby side of things?
I think what happened, I used to watch Clive Rice and Hilton Ackman, Barry Richards, all these guys come over and play international, play county cricket, and they used to move on the liner from Cape Town, the Union Jack, I think it was, and they used to come over and play county cricket. And we also had coaches, Dave Steele and George Sharp used to come and coach at our schools, and it was always something I wanted to do. And I think eventually when I got a chance to come over to England in '77, and I then got a contract. It was then rugby sort of went to the side.
And you started in the Western Province as well. Was that a real kind of eye opener, to coming over to England, or is that where you kind of really got your craft, really, I suppose?
Yeah, I think. South Africa was banned from international sport, and we had been fighting it quite hard because of the apartheid situation. So we had been fighting to play with the coloureds and the black guys and everything like that. And the government weren't having anything for it. We had a couple of sit-ins and that type of thing. And it was then, when I came over in '78, I had my parents were both from London. And I could qualify to play for England. So that's when I decided to take up, a residency and try to qualify to play for England. But my upbringing in South Africa was amazing because we played very hard cricket. And when they were sort of barred from international cricket, Western Province used to play in Natal, Eastern Province, and all the provincial sides. And that was hard cricket. That was like a test match. So I think when I went into a test match, I knew what I was going to get because I'd learned so much from South Africa.
Well, looking at your test career itself, you made your debut in '82 against India and went on to play another 79 matches. What do you remember from your debut? What we've talked about with a few of the other guys as well is, you obviously get the England cap. Was that presented to you by somebody, or was that, something which didn't happen back then?
No, listen, nothing happened then. We were lucky to have television, I think, black and white television. No, listen, it was like make your own arrangements. There were no coaches, for the international cricket. You used to arrive there. I remember my first one-day international was at Leeds against India. We played up there. We had to find our own way up there. We got to the hotel. There was nothing. Arrived at the game, and that was it. So then my debut for England was also in '82 against India, and we used to have we had like a dinner or a gathering the night before the game, and you'll get told if you're selected, and they congratulate you if you were, but there were no caps or anything like that at all.
And looking at your first game itself, back then there was no phones or anything else like that. How did you find out that you were actually picked for England in the first place?
Well, I got a phone call, because there was only landlines, and I got a phone call saying that I'd been selected because it had been in the paper, and no one had phoned me, but someone had seen it, heard it on the news or something. On the radio, and that's how I got to know. And then we used to get a letter through the post to say you've been selected.
Fantastic. I'm guessing it's a little bit changed now. 1400s, 14 test hundreds as well, I believe. Is there any one in particular which really stands out for you and why?
Yeah, I always believe that, you always remember one if you win the game. And I think that's the thing. We, are we still there?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, it's a bit crackly, but we can still hear you.
Yeah, so I think it's one that, when you win the test match, and I think we had some ashes, that first one in '82, when we beat Australia by 3 runs. And I don't know if you listened to Tomo. I got Tomo to tell the story the other day. And it was about him and Alan Border came out to bat, and they had to get 90 for the last sort of wicket. And they arrived there in the morning, and they went out to bat. All the Aussies had already started having a few tinnies in the what's name. And Tomo couldn't believe this. He came back at lunchtime, and he said the boys were really well under when they came in, and they had to get about 2 runs after lunch. The crowds came. There were like 60,000 people came in, and all of a sudden the boys were all at it in the dressing room. And then Bob Willis was bowling, the late great Big Bob, who's gone now. He was captain, and he was bowling. And eventually Beefy said to him, "Listen, give me the ball." And he said, "Okay, big bollocks." And he chucked the ball to him and said, "You have a bowl then." And Alan Border, they got down, there were 3 runs to go, and Beefy took the ball. And Tomo had just taken the single. He should have left the strike Alan Border. And he took the single, Beefy, and he nicked it. And it went straight to Chris Cabaret. Went to Bale to Cabaret, who bombed it up over his head. And Jeff Miller found out. We won by 3 runs, and that was amazing. But I think that that was a great one to remember. But I think the one that really sticks out is against the West Indies in Jamaica, where we hadn't beaten the West Indies for, I think, about 20-odd test matches. And, they were the might then. I mean, let me tell you, I don't think it was any other side that could compete. And they always talk about the Aussies in the 90s would have beaten them with Shane Warne and all that. I doubt it, because I don't think they would have got a chance to bowl, because those quick bowlers just would have tore through them, and they tore through everyone then. So it was Jamaica, and we had Devon Malcolm playing. We had a young side. Gucci was captain, and we had, I think, when Fraser was playing, and we managed to bowl the West Indies out for quite a low score. I mean, sort of, 200 odd. And we went and then posted 300 odd. And we had that lead. And I managed to get 100 in that one. That's why I remember it. We managed to beat them. We bowled them out in the second dig for also low score, and we only chased down about 40 or 50 and won the test match. So that's the only time I've ever beaten the West Indies. So that one sort of sits in my memory, because they were the greatest side I played against.
Well, you talk about the West Indies there. You've got Marshall, Walsh, Ambrose, Garner. I think we can all remember those guys coming down. They're all 6 foot odd, and do you get scared when you're going in? You're going in against these guys. I know it's with the protection now is second to none, but the protection back then, you really didn't have as much protection on your body as you do now. Looking at these guys, they're all 100 mile an hour kind of balls. How did you feel going as a batter against these guys, knowing that they're baying for your blood?
Well, listen, you weren't scared, but you were apprehensive, and you were on your toes. But you talk about there was no sort of chest guards or anything like that. I mean, that we played in a test match. They had brought, I think, Malcolm Marshall was probably he was playing. They brought in Patrick Patterson or someone, and Patrick Patterson came in. We hadn't even seen him. He must have come down from the Blue Mountain. We sort of lost the toss and got put into bat. And Phil Edmonds was playing, and Mike Gatting was batting 3. And Algat was never too shy to have a sandwich or 2 in the dressing room. He'd finish most stuff. And we went down. Beefy somehow was out of the game because he had a leg strain or torn groin. I don't know how he did that because he was sharing a room with me. So anyway, the game got underway. Gucci went out to bat, and I think the second delivery he got went straight over his head off a good length and went one bounce into the side street. Well, you can imagine every batter running back inside at Sabina Park there. There was no television, right? And we all ran back in. We were getting towels, putting towels into our shirts and, jock straps that were double, one in the front, one in the back, because that was filling. And anyway, none of us were out there watching. There was only Beefy, and eventually the wicket fell, and Gat went out to bat. He demolished the whole tray of sandwiches. I mean, he was still eating one on the way out. Out he went to bat. And 10 minutes later, old boss shouted, "Oh, my God!" He said, "Gat's been hit in the mouth." And old Phil Edmonds was sitting close by to me and said he probably thought it was a pork pie going past, Which wasn't that funny, but it was funny at the time. But the person who had to go back was me. So anyway, I sort of a little bit scared and not scared, but sort of apprehensive. And off I went out to bat. And, when you're a little bit nervous and frightened and you've got to just release some energy. And I walked past the Gat being carried off by the physio. They had like a cloth on his face, and there was blood spurting out. And I said to Gat, "What's he doing, mate?" Well, it didn't go down too well with both of them. Both of them turned around and said, "You go and find out, you bloody prick," So anyway, walked to the middle of the wicket. I got there and took guard, and there was this massive pool of blood. And I said, "I can't bat under these circumstances," to the umpire. So the old groundsman came on with sawdust. He chucked it all over. And let me tell you, I was nervous. I tell you, both jock straps were tinging a bit, and that one at the back. And let me tell you, it was in danger. And I then faced my first ball from Malcolm Marshall, and a beautiful half volley, and I punched it through the covers for 4. And I thought, wow, fantastic, this is all right. And next thing, a voice from behind turned around and said, there was Viv. He said, "Mako, no more dry balls, man." And I thought, oh my God, this is going to be fun. So anyway, I see it on and gone. Everyone had come behind the wicket. There was a guy on the hook and everything. And I knew this got to be, unless it was like a 5-card trick, he'll bowl me a little Yorker or something like that. And no. Then he came to bowl, and he bowled me an absolute snorter. It nearly took my nose off. And it went straight to Dujon's hand, down to the slip court and all that. And Bert turned around and he said, "Man, that's smelly leather, man." And I said, "Thank you." And down it went to Malcolm Marshall. And the next ball was even closer. I could read the label "Dukes Made in England" and just shot past my nose again. Back into Bert pipes up to Mako. He says, "Mako, man, give this man a serious delivery." And I think, oh my God, if they went serious deliveries, what's going to be next? And anyway, I stood there and I thought, well, it's got to be another sort of bouncer, otherwise it's going to be full. I'm going to fill the kitchen sink at it. And it was pitched up, and I played and missed, and it must have just nicked my pads and that. And there was a half-hearted appeal went up. The umpire gave me out, and I started walking. And I got sort of 30 yards from the crease, and all of a sudden, Irv shouted, "Let me, man, umpy, give you not out." And this is the first time I've ever gone deaf and left the bloody cricket field.
thinking, I don't want to actually turn around and get back out in the middle of that crease, especially when you might have Ambrose coming down here in the next ball or something like that from the other end. You talk about a little bit of, not sledging there, it's a little bit of banter between each other behind the stumps, and the other players out there. Back in then day, it was renowned for, it's being classed as sledging, we say, but it was more banter, wasn't it? What's the best bit of banter you've had with another player on the pitch itself from the opposition?
Yeah, I don't think there was a lot of banter with the West Indies because we weren't at the wicket that long, so they didn't have to say much. Pakistan, Sri Lanka, we didn't have a problem with them because we couldn't understand what they were saying. So that wasn't a problem with them. But Australia were the real boys. New Zealand also. And I'd learned sort of the banter from South Africa because, you got sledge there, they didn't take any prisoners. And I think the best sledge was probably Dennis Lilly to me when, he said to me, listen, mate, after playing and missing for ages, he said, you hold the bat still and I'll aim at the fucker, he said. So I didn't know what to say, he was right up in my face. The first time I was words.
Brilliant. Fantastic. You talk about the Ashes there, you played in the 85, you won in the 85 and 86, 87, you won the Ashes, with Gooch and Gower and the names kind of roll off on that side of it. What do you remember of the Ashes itself? The 86 one I think was out in Australia as well, which obviously beating the Australians in their own backyard is what every cricketer wants to do.
We beat them, yeah. I think that's when David Gower was captain. And then I think we played the West Indies or something, 86, and we lost and Mike Batting got the captaincy. So we went with John Embry as captain to Australia. They over to it. So Billy, myself, Gower, both of them, we all toured Australia before, so we sort of knew stuff. That was the first time we had got a coach. Mickey Stewart was involved, came in. We had a manager, Peter Lash, so they sort of taking it sort of a bit more professional, the game, it was just we didn't have any openers. We had Chris Broad who came, and Chris, was an opener, but hadn't done really that. They picked him, and then we had Graham Fowler. He was on the trip, and I don't know who there was another. We had another batter, but anyway, we were juggling Bill Athy, and so they juggled around with the opening partnership. But I think what had happened was the first Test match. I think we had a couple of warm-up games. We played against the Bundaberg 11 up in Queensland, and we lost to them quite easily. Gower, both of them, and probably the rest of the team got onto the Bundaberg rum, so we weren't really fit to play. And then we went down to Perth and we played against the Crayfish Factory 11 there, and we lost easily either, so it wasn't going too well. And then we went up to, I think, Kalgoorlie, and we lost to the Hookers 11 up there. So everything had gone. So we were branded before the Test match. This was the worst England side that left the British shores. Can't bat, can't bowl, can't field. The worst ever team. So we arrived in Brisbane, first Test match started. We had a meeting that evening, and Beefy turned around and he said, you know what? He said, now the cricket starts. He said, bugger what we've been doing beforehand, Brad. We were having a bit of fun and enjoying Australia, but cricket starts now in the meeting. And then there was the boys got stuck into a few beers and everything like that. And the following day, Broad went and got 100. Athy got runs. Gower got runs. Both of them scored 100. And everything went, just the Test match series changed, and we went on to beat them. So that year, I think we won all the one-day competitions, and we won the Ashes, and that was incredible. So that was fantastic in front of all the Aussies. And the Aussies, you arrive in Australia and they really get up your nose. Even the crowds, when you walk in the street, they say, Pommy, what are you doing here, mate? What are you guys are absolutely slaughtered. And, they made you feel quite uncomfortable. So beating them there was fantastic.
And also in their back garden as well is even better. And we still think that now. I think that you talk about the changes in cricket there a little bit. It was starting to change more at that point. Do you see a huge change at one point where it goes, this is now becoming professional, or do you see that it's because you came over on a real? There weren't any central contracts for England. There weren't any central contracts in that sense for security. It was more a play and pay kind of way. When did you see a change in cricket?
That was 90s. When I was finishing. Gucci and I put a lot into trying to get sponsorship because we didn't have sponsors or anything like that. And if there was a sponsor, all the money went to the ECB. We didn't get anything. So we were trying to get the team sponsors, and we were creating it. And I think we got Tetley. Tetley sponsored us one year. And then we had the bitters. We had the lager company sponsor. So it was all changing then in the 90s, and I think that's when it went forward. And I remember the tour with Graham, who was captain, down to Australia, and we had beaten Australia, before, and Aussies were struggling. And Alan Border, they got Bobby Simpson in to be the professional coach, and he Alan Border, that's it. You guys have got to change. You're too friendly with the Pommies. He said, you just cut them off. You speak to them at the end of the series. And that was the change. I remember Gucci arriving in Perth, and he said, because Alan Border had been playing at Essex, he said he's just going to go up and see Alan Border. And he came back and he said, they said he was too busy to see Graham. And I thought, well, I said, Graham, I think they're changing. They're going to put a block on it. And that's what they did. Speak to us, have a drink with us. Because in our days, you used to always go in, the fielding side, the batting side always went and had a drink. After every day of the test match, we went into the opposition dressing room, or the opposition came into our dressing room. We'd sit there having a few beers, chatting about it. And there was something like Matt Hayden said. I mean, he said, I saw him in 97. No, they only spoke to the players maybe at the end of the series. And he said, it was amazing. The time you played, everyone enjoyed it. And, you got to know people. You saw the country where he said he took it too serious. I mean, he took it well over the top. And he said, I see how you guys played it. And towards the end of his career, he said he enjoyed it a lot more because he wasn't so serious about it. Of course, you've got to be serious in that respect when you're bad, but you still got to enjoy life.
Well, back in them days as well, you used to have Sundays off, didn't you? So it was on a test match. It was, Saturday night must have been a real hoot with both teams coming together, I would imagine.
Well, yeah, 82. We went down to the McLaren Valley on the Sunday off, and both sides were there. We were guests of the winery down there, and swimming pool, and the boys' Barbie got stuck in. We used to be absolutely slaughtered on the Sunday, and have to go and finish the first match off on the Monday and Tuesday. So we made days on what really buggered our sort of enjoyment.
Fantastic.
Cuz, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. I can hear you.
I was just saying, Lammy, me and Linny were talking about it before, where there's very few characters in sport now. Your main England cricketers now, we spoke to Goffey last Friday, and he was saying that they go back to the room and they play games on the TV and their Nintendo Switches or whatever, and they kind of don't communicate face to face anymore. It seems to be lost. And characters like yourself, Bolton, Gower, in golf you had your Sebbies and your Nicholas and Palmer. They don't seem to be them kind of stand. I mean, you've got Poulter, I guess, kind of. Very few are real characters now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you take the golf, you mentioned the football, Gaza, rugby, but I think what has happened is because of the media and everything around. Look at Stokesy. I mean, listen, Stokesy, incredible player. He is a character. Let me tell you, you get to know Stokesy. He's such a great guy. And a lot of those England players in that dressing room, I was lucky enough and privileged enough, they invited me to come and join them after they'd beaten South Africa in Port Elizabeth. And I went in there, took a couple of bottles of wine, told them a few stories, and then, I was asked to say something at the end. But I got to know those England players, and I would never go into the England dressing room. I've never been back into the England dressing room since I played, since when I went in last year. So that or early this year. So that was absolutely brilliant. But I think with all the social media and everything like that has stopped, and the guys can't express themselves, so they get fined and that. Listen, I think you've got to have a little bit of banter and a bit of a chirping, as long as it doesn't go too far and you get into someone's family and all that type of stuff.
Well, talking of banter and things, talk us through 91 at Queensland with Gower and John Morris.
Oh, yes. Well, listen, Gucci took life quite serious, and he was a total professional. Where Gower didn't like practicing and didn't like going for runs or anything like that. So we were playing this game. Gucci had been injured. He'd done his finger, and so we were playing against Queensland down at the Gold Coast, and his tiger moths kept buzzing the ground and that. And Gower went into bat, and he played normal brilliance, faced 3 balls, hit them all for 4, and said he's in good nick, and came out, so got out. And Robert Smith and I went out to bat, and then we were grinding away and getting a bit of nick, and came in lunchtime, and Gower came to me and said, listen, I've been down to the airport, and they say, I've got to pay to go up in one of those tiger moths. Have you got $200? I said, yeah, I've got $200. So flippantly, I said, yeah, it's my plan, just going to take it, but remember, pay me back. And I said, flippantly, don't drop any water bombs on the pitch. And I thought, I don't know if you know. So anyway, we were batting, and I mentioned it to the Queensland. I said, boys, Gower may hit us with a tiger bomb. He may come over here. If he does, I'd hit the ground, because he said he was going to take water bombs over and lob them out. So anyway, I was facing, and Craig McDermott was just about to start his run-up. And I noticed this tiger moth approaching behind him. I thought, oh, my God. And it caught up really quickly. So I put my hand up, and I stopped with Craig McDermott and said, hit the deck, boys. And we all hit the deck. And this tiger moth came in, and they tilted like this, and there was old Biggle sitting with his helmet on, just waving out the side to us. Pretending I was shooting. And poor Johnny Morris, he was in the second one. They didn't quite get it right, and they had to pull out at the last moment, and they missed the pylon. It must have been quite close. They had these big floodlit pylons, and he went to the left. So anyway, I got out eventually, and I think the management came to me and said, who's that in the helicopter? I mean, in the tiger moth. I said, I don't know, there's some guys waving, probably just buzzing us, and that. Oh, God, it was Gower. And I said, I'm on the disciplinary committee here, so I've now, oh, God. So anyway, after the game, I go to David Gower, and I said, what did you do? He said, well, I came back to the ground, but no one had got any photos. So the press asked him if he had come back to the aerodrome and have a photo. So he climbed in the tiger moth, great photos of him in the tiger moth and everything. I said, I don't think it was a great thing. So I got back to the hotel, and I get a call from the management to say, can you come up to the hotel room? So I go up to the hotel room. There's Mickey Stewart, Lush, Gucci, all in there. They furious. They said they believe it was David Gower in the tiger moth. And I said, well, I wasn't too sure, but if it was him, well, then something probably going to happen. He said, yep, disciplinary morning, and we come to the room at 7 o'clock. We're going to have to do something. So anyway, David and I went out for a drink that evening, and he sort of, you allowed to take your own champagne to the restaurant. So he had got 2 bottles and he got a sword, he off in the restaurant. So this is what he was like. Anyway, I said, David, you're going to be in a lot of problems tomorrow. You shouldn't have gone up. And if you hadn't have not done the picture and all that, you would have been right. Anyway, following morning, I arrive in the hotel manager's room, And we're sitting there, and they are furious. And they call David and explain why he went on. You know, you had to get permission, Dottie. And he was so sort of flippant and like jokey about the whole thing. And he was winding them up, and they were getting crosser and crosser. And I was trying to stop laughing because it was quite a serious matter. Anyway, they fined him, I think it was $2,500. That was our fee for the whole tournament. And anyway, that was it. So I thought, well, afterwards he left. Gucci said, that's it. I think we send him home. I said, no, there's no chance. He's one of our best players. He's in form, and we can't send him away. Gucci, you've got a bloody broken finger. You're not playing. I'm probably about the only one in neck. There's no ways we can send him home, right? And then I thought to myself, if we do send him home, I'm going to lose my $400. So I thought, okay, that he's definitely not going home. So they did send him home, and then we had another Tiger Bar fly past and say, David Gower's innocent, pay back his money. All his mates had got up, and that was it. But David was incredible. I mean, he just was so laid back and flippant to that. And the following Test match, he had a broken finger, which he shouldn't have really played. And I said, you've got to play because I've just done my calf muscle. And he went and scored a brilliant 100 at Melbourne. But we didn't have a very good tour. I think we lost 3-love or something.
Fantastic. He's somebody you wouldn't expect to. We see him on the telly. Wouldn't expect him to be the one of the jokes in that sense. We normally do a quiz now as well. So I know Hurd is in the bottom corner here. Yeah. He's got some questions for you, Lammy. So we're going to have that. And then we're also going to have AJ, your mate's going to come on, and we're going to have some Facebook stuff as well. So Hurdy, over to you, my friend.
Lenny, when you went marlin fishing, before I do this, I went marlin fishing. Me and Donaldson, we went about 12 years ago when we were playing Mauritius Open, went out, rented a boat, we were out there with the girls, and we caught this fish. Honestly, it ended up weighing about 12.5 stone, but like you said, Lammy, very difficult to catch the marlins now. I'm guessing it must have been overfished, does it?
I think even back in 2000, or 2001, when we were in that Marlin World Cup, they were saying there was a shortage then.
Was there?
Because I remember watching old videos of Marlin World Cup, and they were pulling on board 1,500-pound marlins.
Yeah.
And they were just unheard of then. I think Jack Nicklaus held the world record, at one point.
Did he?
Yeah, Google that. He had a monster.
But I remember Donaldson catching this thing. It was only 12 or 13 stones. Probably shouldn't have pulled it. Maybe it was too small apart. But Donaldson pulled out. It took him 45 minutes. And the next day, we went to. It was thankfully a practice ground. He couldn't grip the club. Absolutely feeling this thing in. He were at it for ages. It was so funny. There were gold in me. It was funny, man. It was really funny.
I mean, that Marlin World Cup, do you remember it, Lammy? There was we all drew. We were drinking the night before. Well, we were drinking every night, weren't we? There was 50 boats in a row, and then they sent there was a cannon went off, and every boat just goes full gun, and you needed to get out about a mile before you could drop your lines. And Barry Hearn, typically, he obviously rigged it. He'd drawn this brand new big American boat, which I'm on with him and Eddie and a couple others. So we end up getting out there a good 10 minutes before everyone else, drop our lines, and we draw straws for as soon as one of the lines goes, who's in the chair. And I draw number one, goes within 5 minutes, we've got a marlin on the line. So Barry Hearn is absolutely livid because he said he's been fishing for 20, 30 years and he's never caught a marlin. And now we've got this thing jumping. An hour and a half later, I got it in, and it was a 200-pounder. It was a tag and release. My hands were bleeding. It was
really?
Just because it was young and it had a great fight in it. God, yeah. I've never done anything as hard in my life.
I know. I remember we swapped about 6 times.
Have you done any in the States? Because you've got some great fishing there.
No, I've not done it there.
That's the only time I've deep sea fished, to be fair. Oh no, I did some in Canaries, the Grand Cayman as well. But I got seasick in Grand Cayman. I didn't get, because we were out for 6 solid days, I think, weren't we, in Mauritius? Never got seasick once. So I think when I get to Grand Cayman, I think, oh, I've got sea legs, no problem. Get out there, and I just range. I was just ground baiting for about 3 hours. Oh, it was horrible.
Hurdy, we've lost your sound, Hurdy, by the sounds of it.
I'll come back in.
Oh no, we've got you again. You're there you are. There you are.
Have you got me?
Yeah.
Tell you what I wanted to ask you, Lammy. Lammy.
Yeah.
What's some of the best sledging you've ever heard at the Crace?
Well, I mean, there's a few. I mean, I remember, well, with myself, Tomo, I sort of, as I came into bat, I took guard and that, and all of a sudden the voice piped up from behind me. You got any family, mate? And I looked up and there was Dennis Lilly about to settle from his mark. So, that was like nice banter. I mean, Ed Bradley's when he chirped old McGrath, you remember when he said, "How come you're so fat?" And old Eddie, your missus keeps feeding me chocolate biscuits. Would be great. I mean, that man said he must have chirped a little bit, on the golf course. He always had a little bit to say, didn't he?
Sevy, you'd say.
Yeah, I said
just generally, I think.
Yeah,
Sevy.
Yeah, we made on the course because you could see, those old videos and that, he could put off a player fairly quickly, couldn't he?
Yeah, well, he used to be famous, didn't he, for rattling the coins and his little dry cough as well as things like that. But I think in general, though, players, you can't...
No, golf you can't.
We had Donaldson on last week who was on about, in the Ryder Cup, Steve Stricker was trying to get in his head, coming over and saying things to him. But I think more... One of the funniest things on a golf course when you're playing in a tournament...
AJ actually looks better.
AJ, yeah. Was how a player would self-explode, or some of the lines a player would come out about himself. And I think one of the best ones ever is the Peter Lonard story, where I don't know where he's playing, but he's just driving the ball so bad. And he's halfway round, and he hits another drive in the shit. And he walks off, and I don't know if Pete Lonard's a real feisty Aussie, and he turns round and he went, "Jeez, mate, you couldn't drive a finger up your own arse."
I remember one of these events, and Sam, I was really productive playing with Sam, lovely guy, because we met him on the cricket. When you guys used to come over to Australia on those tournaments, he used to come watch us play cricket and that. And I was playing a nice bloody game with this guy, bad. Sam said to me, "Hey, mate," I said, "I think he's going to give me a tip or two." He said, turned around to me and said, "Mate, do me a favour." He said, "Don't give up your day job."
Right.
Ernie, are you back, Ernie?
Ernie, have you got the questions?
I'm back, yeah. Lammy, we know you played for Northampton for a lot of your career in England, but I've got a couple of questions about Northampton area. So the first question is, Althorp House is owned by which family in Northampton?
Spencers.
Spencers is correct. A lot of interesting stuff down there about Princess Diana I read this morning. Next question, Northampton Town, what is their nickname?
Oh, the great football side. Wow, they should be premier. Cobblers.
The Cobblers. The Cobblers is correct. Okay, Northampton Saints rugby union team play at what ground?
Well, is it Travis Perkins?
No.
Their stadium.
Yeah, it is called Franklin Gardens.
Oh, Frankie. I thought, yeah, but their sponsors are Travis Perkins, so it should be called the Travis Perkins Stadium.
I think they said it was PTS or something they've called it, or... Anyway.
What is
Franklin Gardens.
for now?
Here's one for you, but this is quite an interesting. Which well-known comedian and TV presenter father managed Northampton Town in the 80s and first year in the 90s? What is he called? Which well-known comedian and TV presenter's father managed Northampton Town in the 80s and the first year in the 90s? What is his name? The son.
Wow. Waterman.
Who?
Dennis Waterman.
No, it is, believe it or not. His father was called Graham Carr, and the youngster is Alan Carr.
Graham Carr. Wow.
Yeah, Graham Carr.
Forgot about old Graham.
Bit of cricket for you. That was T20. Side Northampton won it. Northamptonshire won it. What was the last year?
Sorry, line's a bit bad there.
Northamptonshire won the T20 Blast. What year last did they win it?
17?
2016. And if you can hear this last question, I don't know about my line. Which Northamptonshire Golf Club had a European Tour event called the British Masters in 1996?
He's playing.
Last hole, par 5.
Last hole, par 5 today.
I know this one.
Did you play in that, Linny?
No.
No. I've got it.
Initials are CB.
Who?
CB.
CP.
Put him out of his misery, Eddie.
No.
He's gone.
We do seem to have a bad line today for some reason. I don't know why we've got a bad line. It's not the best. AJ, we're struggling to hear you, Eddie, for some reason. I don't know why. Has he got KC Communications as well, do you reckon, today, Lenny, do you think?
Yeah. He's got
he's got 3 kids. He's got 3 girls who are probably nicking his internet as we speak.
Hey,
So,
Lammy, can you hear me, Lammy?
Who's that?
Lenny.
Yeah.
I think we might as well carry on chatting because these guys have been.
I was going to ask you, Lammy. I've played in the last 2 Beefy Pro-Ams, and you've been absent. Now, there was a few rumours flying around. Are they all true?
No, I wouldn't be. I couldn't play, but Liam's very, very good at saying, we've given him a red card or something like that. But no, I couldn't play in the. Well, I haven't played in any of them since then.
God. I think I've always, it's over 12 months since I played in it. I think I've just got over it.
You better try playing the Dunhill.
Are you playing in the Dunhill?
That's hard work. We play every year. Lucky I get an invite to that.
In fact, I sat with I went to the dinner, didn't I, on the Saturday? It was the only dinner I've been to, and I got put on the table with you, and all the
correct.
Beefy spilt a shitload of wine all down my suit.
That is hard work.
We've got AJ Lammy in the corner there with actually a bit of a. Well, he's got a helmet on, which actually improves his look. He's got a few questions from Facebook for you. Can he? We'll just let AJ come across with a couple of those.
Lammy, good morning. How are you doing?
Very good. You look very talented in that bicycle helmet.
You look like a helmet.
All right, Lenny, all right. In fairness, Lammy, my missus cut my hair the other week, and it's just way too short, and I've had nothing but piss take out of my hairstyle. So I thought, with it being cricket, I'll stick my helmet on. And of course, we had a good time in Japan a few months ago. So I thought I'd reminisce.
I'm going to say, you haven't got any hair.
Come on, lads. Come here. Cut me some slack.
The only thing you're combing is your ass. You've got a back comb going on.
Lammy. Right, forget these two Charlies. Lammy, Chris Darcy asks, tell the Dickie Bird story, please.
No, that's too long. But it is true.
It's too long. Is it true? Is that when he answered the phone to you or something?
That's true. I mean, I did give Dickie the phone when I went out to bat, and I asked him to take a message. He nearly died. He put it in his pocket. You know, those big umpire coats in there. And I walked up and we dropped it in there, and I said, take a message. He said, what are you doing? And you know, those old Motorola phones, those massive big things. He nearly fell over. He went and I took out. He stood behind the stump, and his arms were going. He was pulling his coat. He was absolutely nervous. And what Both had done, he timed it on Wacker Eunice was bowling, and he was running into bowl for me. And Wacker came in. He got about 2-3 yards just from approaching the stump, and Beefy set off the phone. Well, it was on loud, and Beefy, old poor Dickie, got such a fright. He put his arms out like that, nearly decapitated old poor Wacker Eunice. The media, television are gone. There must be something wrong with Dickie Bird. Oh, Harold, there must be. And he's sort of going, sorry, what? Going there. England boys are them. Yeah, I can't believe it. Anyway, after the game, Beefy says, we in the shit because Dickie now has got to go and do a press interview and find out. They want to know what happened with the Wacker Eunice thing. So anyway, Beefy and I took like a week on. So we went down and he had a Jag. And we jacked his Jag.
Oh, we seem to have lost Lammy there for some reason.
Another one on KC.
Oh, no. Lammy, we can hear you again. I know. There's me and you. We've got a good connection, me and you, Liddy.
Hey up. Lammy's back.
Lammy, we lost you there for a second, Lammy. Can you hear
We're back.
We're back, Lammy, yeah.
We're back.
You were just saying that he was just about to go into a breakdown of how and what happened to the governing bodies.
What is going on? We can't hear you, boys.
We can hear you now, Lammy. Lammy, can you hear me? We can hear you, mate.
Well, this is what I normally use the Bannock chili oil for my lamb, so the mint is no good for you guys, I can tell you that. So stuff to have, the Bannock chili oil. Anyway, so what happened, Dickie went into this, into the meeting, and they said, Mr. Bird, can you tell us what happened between you and Wacker Eunice? How come you nearly decapitated his head? He said it was quite hot, and I'd loosed my tie a little bit, and a wasp flew in there. And I got such a fright, and I apologized to Watson. So Dickie bailed us out, and you can imagine his face when he came out after having a shower. He probably never showered, old Dickie, and just went down to his car rival, and there his car was jacked up. But he got us afterwards. He's quite a clever man, you know. He got us out. I'll be fine.
Lammy, Gary has a question here. He said, obviously you played in an era of some of the game's greatest bowlers. You know, Tomo, Lilly, Holding, Marshall, Garner. The list was endless. You know, who was the quickest and who was the one, well, apart from all, that had your mark?
No good.
Lammy.
Can't hear you.
Right, we can't hear that. Basically, it was a similar question to what we asked earlier on, Lammy, if you can hear me. Literally, it's for you've got all the bowlers which you had coming down, which was the person who, you know, was the quickest and the most intimidating out of the world-class bowlers of West Indies and Australia and everywhere else in the world.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the best I ever played against, and I played a lot against, was Malcolm Marshall. he was the finest, probably the finest batter was Viv Richards. Intimidating a guy that was quite a difficult bowler to play was probably Joel Garner because of the height he had. So, I mean, Lily was unbelievable. But I got Lily and Tomo towards the end of their career. So, but listen, Tomo was rapid. And so you can imagine when he was fit, he must have been super, super quick.
Yeah. And a couple of questions. We're going to wrap it up now. I mean, I've got a couple of questions. There's one which has come up, which I've seen this morning, which was an infamous casino night, I believe. Can you tell it? Does that recollect to you? A casino night which you won quite a lot of money and then lost quite a lot of money?
Yes, we did. I mean, Kerry Packard invited us down to come and have dinner with him, and we then ended up in a casino. I'm not going to go into the full story. We don't have time. But we did go gambling with him. And, I wasn't all for it. I'm not really a big gambler. And anyway, he was playing blackjack. And he said, I'm covering all the boxes and I'll call the shouts. We're all in and we'll share the money. I said, well, no, Kerry, unfortunately. He said, no, I put the money down. I cover the boxes and we share. Yes, I'm back in, Kerry. Thanks very much. Well, so he must have got to about $1 million. He had won $1 million Australian dollars. And he said, guys, you want to pack in? Because he was a mad rugby league fan. And we still had a couple hours to go before he could listen to the rugby. And we were Tony Gregg, the late Tony Gregg, and David Gower, myself, and Kerry Packer's son. And the guys decided, no, we're going to play on. I could have gone home we probably only earned about $1,000 then. I mean, I could have gone home with bloody $50,000 or something. And the guys carried on playing and ended up, we lost a lot. Can you believe it? I was absolutely pissed.
And two questions which we always ask everybody at the end. Who would be the person who would get you into the most trouble on a night out?
Well, if you go out with Ian Botham, you're definitely going to be in trouble because everyone, if there wasn't someone calling him, old fat pork pie or something, people, he was like a red rag to a bull. So he would be one that definitely would, you don't want to go out with him because something will happen.
And the last one, what would be your favourite, dead or alive, 4-ball at golf?
Well, 4-ball, I think I would have loved to play Jack Nicklaus, Seve Ballesteros, Gary Player, and myself.
Fantastic. Lenny, you can't argue with that one, can you?
Can't argue with that. Good 4-ball.
What would your favourite 4-ball? What would be your ultimate 4-ball? I don't think we've asked you this question yet. Yeah.
I'd go Jack and Arnie, and then I'd stick Mo Norman in there. So a lot of people haven't even heard of Mo Norman, but he's the eccentric Canadian that used to just hit it arrow straight. I think I mentioned this before, didn't I? When we had a golfer on, I think. He's just that eccentric. There's legendary stories of him hitting a driver on a par 4. And the blokes turned to him and said, why are you hitting driver? You'll hit it in the water. I'm going to aim at the bridge. Aim at the bridge. Sure enough, hits it on the bridge. There's videos of him on YouTube. It's just, yeah.
Your favourite drinking 4-ball?
What's that?
Your favourite drinking 4-ball? You've got to have woozy. You've got to have Sam Allen.
Oh. Hey, me and Hurdy went to Jersey for a weekend last year on the scoop with Wuzzy. Big Simon. Don't know if you met Simon.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, put it this way, by about 10 o'clock, I think we were doing one-arm press-ups in this bar. Yeah, it was actually, we went out for lunch, but it went into the early hours.
As they always do. As they always do. Lammy, absolutely fantastic, mate. Thank you for the hour. Thank you for coming and joining us. Do apologise out there if you've had a little bit of a problem with the sounds and stuff. For some reason, we've not had this before, but we've got a little bit of a problem with the sound today. Hurdy's kids are most likely all on their iPads and everybody else all over the place. For once, we've had Linny all the way through. Linny?
Yeah.
This is a defining moment for us. This is brilliant,
KC have transformed themselves.
Absolutely. Linny, thank you as always, mate.
Yeah, cheers.
Lammy,
cheers,
absolutely
Lammy.
fantastic. Thank you very much for coming on. I'll just let you know the streaming, again, was simply video. Thank you. SGH Sports Events, you can go onto there and you can find out all the information about the Sergio Garcia flag and the other interviews we've done on here. We've had some great guests on. We've got some great guests coming as well. For the rest of this week. If you want the Sergio Garcia Masters flag, which is framed, you can go onto the SGH Facebook page and you can find the link to go onto there, and that will go across. You can also find that on Twitter as well. It's a 2017 when he won. All the money is going to the NHS as usual. Thanks to our sponsor again, Find a Golf Break. Again, fantastic offer for 25% off discount when you quote lunchtime with, which is what we are here. And it's valid also for 2 years. So I know some people who will be using that, which is some of my friends who use Find a Golf Breaks when we go in the summer. So thank you again to them. As always, Lammy, thank you very much. Linny, thank you very much. Hurdy's in the background. AJ's in the background. Thank you very much. And we will see you again tomorrow.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, Lammy. Thank you.
Try this stuff. This will sort you out.